Let me start with a story, not a dramatic one, but one that's real. A close friend of mine, we'll call him Jordan, had everything going for him. Smart, ambitious, grounded, the kind of guy who didn't just have his life together, he had character, humility, and a genuine heart. Then he met her. On the surface, she was everything he thought he wanted. Beautiful, magnetic, confident, spontaneous. She made the ordinary feel electric. In the early days, she said things that seemed playful. "You're too nice. It's kinda boring," she'd tease with a smirk. Or, "I like a little chaos in relationships. Keeps it interesting." At the time, Jordan laughed it off. He figured it was just her personality. Edgy, maybe a little mysterious. He didn't think much of it, but a year later, that same playful chaos turned into something darker. He found himself stuck in a cycle of emotional games, guilt trips, silent treatments, unpredictable arguments that came out of nowhere. One day, she'd be warm and loving. The next, she'd be cold and distant. It was like trying to solve a puzzle that kept rearranging itself. And slowly, almost without realizing it, Jordan began to question his worth. He wondered if he was doing enough, being enough, loving enough. Here's the thing, we often imagine red flags as subtle, buried deep in months of behavior, actions we have to analyze, patterns we have to track, but more often than not, they're hiding in plain sight, in the very words she says in the beginning. The issue wasn't that she didn't show him who she really was. The issue was that he didn't believe her. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Not the typical watch out for these 5 toxic phrases checklist you see online. I want to go deeper. I want to give you something that sharpens your awareness and strengthens your instincts. A way to listen to the truth someone tells you through their language, even when it's wrapped in charm, humor, or confidence. Because sometimes it's not about catching her in a lie. It's about hearing the truth she's already told you. The truth you were never supposed to ignore. Point 1. I don't do drama, but people just can't handle me. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked warning signs. A phrase that sounds harmless on the surface, but says far more than she probably realizes. I don't do drama, but people just can't handle me. Now listen, if you ever hear a woman say that, don't laugh it off. Don't convince yourself it's just a quirky personality trait or some endearing boldness. That's not confidence. That's not sass. That's not her being real. That's a red flag dressed in flirtation and self-delusion. Because what she's actually revealing, whether she knows it or not, is that everywhere she goes, chaos follows. And somehow it's never her fault. Every relationship she's been in, drama, every friendship that fell apart, someone else's issue. Every time things blew up, she walked away claiming she was just too real or too much. But when the same story keeps repeating itself and she's always the common denominator, that's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And here's where it becomes dangerous for good, emotionally intelligent men, especially those of us who lead with empathy. We hear her say that and we think, she just hasn't met someone who can handle her energy. She needs someone calm, someone who won't give up on her, someone like me. So we step in trying to be her peace. We try to ground her. We try to prove that we're different. But here's the truth. She doesn't want peace. She's addicted to the chaos. And soon, the storm she claimed to have left behind starts pouring down in your life. You'll catch yourself walking on eggshells, constantly monitoring your tone, your words, your actions, all in an effort to avoid triggering some unpredictable emotional explosion. You'll start justifying her moods to your friends, suppressing your own needs, silencing your gut instincts just to keep the relationship afloat. And that's not love. That's emotional babysitting. That's not connection. That's codependency, wearing the mask of passion. Real love, real partnership should make your life feel lighter, not heavier. It should feel safe, not like you're tiptoeing through a minefield. So when she tells you she's too much for most people, believe her. Not because she's this wild, untamed soul waiting for someone strong enough to handle her, but because she's emotionally unmanaged and expects you to become her handler. You're not here to be someone's therapist, fixer, or punching bag. You're here to build something rooted in peace, mutual respect, and emotional maturity. That's the standard. Protect it. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her. the girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting out-competed by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing. But I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the description if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. Point 2. I'm used to being disappointed by men. Now let's talk about another statement that might sound innocent, maybe even honest, but it carries a lot more weight than it appears. I'm used to being disappointed by men. At first, it might sound like vulnerability. It might feel like she's opening up, and maybe part of her is, but don't miss the truth buried beneath that sentence, because that isn't just a passing remark, that's a mindset. And a mindset like that doesn't go away with sweet words or thoughtful gestures. When someone says they're used to being disappointed by men, what they're really saying is this: I already expect you to fail me. You're not walking into a new chapter. You're stepping into a courtroom where the verdict has already been written in invisible ink. Every little mistake you make, every moment where you're human instead of perfect, it won't just be seen as a slip-up. It will be added to the growing list of all the ways men before you fell short. And that's not just unfair, it's exhausting. Because now, instead of simply being yourself and growing together, you'll find yourself performing, proving, overcompensating, just trying to show her you're not like the rest. You'll be walking uphill with the weight of someone else's heartbreak on your back. And the truth is, no matter how much you try, it still won't feel like enough. Why? Because the problem was never about you. It's about her unresolved pain, her unhealed wounds. And while you might care, while you might want to help her rewrite that narrative, it is not your responsibility to fix damage you didn't cause. You weren't the one who broke her trust, and you shouldn't have to pay for someone else's mistakes. What you need is a partner who sees you, not through the cloudy lens of past betrayal, but with clear eyes and an open heart. A woman who's done the work to heal, who's willing to build something new with you, not drag you through the emotional debt of men who came before. If she's still holding on to that pain, that's her journey to take, and you can respect it without making it yours. Your job isn't to prove you're worthy of her trust. It's to protect your peace, stay true to your value, and build with someone who meets you with the same emotional readiness you bring to the table. Point 3. I know I can be a lot. Let's break down a phrase that too many guys brush off like it's no big deal. I know I can be a lot. At first glance, it might sound playful, like a little warning wrapped in flirtation. Maybe she says it with a smirk or a laugh, and you think, alright, she's just passionate, maybe a bit dramatic, I can handle that. But let me be real with you. That statement isn't just quirky self-awareness, it's often a preloaded excuse for emotional chaos. What she's really saying is, I know I'm going to overwhelm you. I know I'll cross lines, overreact, and push limits. And I'm telling you now so I can use it later to justify the damage. And this is where so many well-meaning men get trapped. You think, I'm built different. I'm strong enough to deal with it. She just needs someone patient, someone who won't leave when things get hard. But over time, a lot becomes too much. And you're no longer thriving, you're surviving. Your peace, constantly under fire. You find yourself walking on eggshells around her mood swings, holding your tongue to avoid triggering an outburst, putting your own feelings on the back burner just to keep things calm. And that's not love. That's not growth. That's emotional survival mode. And no man deserves to live in that space. A woman who is truly self-aware doesn't just recognize her intensity, she takes accountability for it. She works on it. She doesn't throw dysfunction at your feet and label it passion or personality. She won't create chaos and expect you to be the one sweeping up the mess. And that's the key. Your job in a relationship isn't to manage her. You're not supposed to carry the emotional weight of two people just to keep things together. You're supposed to share life with someone who brings balance, who adds peace, not pressure. someone who can regulate their own emotions instead of making you responsible for navigating every storm. So when a woman tells you she knows she can be a lot, don't just hear it, listen to it. Ask yourself, is this a genuine moment of growth, or is it a warning she has no intention of changing? Because love should stretch you, not break you. And the right woman won't leave you constantly bracing for impact. She'll create space where both of you can breathe, feel safe, and actually build something, not survive something. Point 4. I don't need a man, I want one. Now let's talk about one of the most deceiving phrases you'll hear. Something that sounds empowering, sounds evolved, but often carries a subtle undercurrent of control. I don't need a man, I want one. At first, it lands like confidence, like strength. And sure, independence is attractive, it absolutely is. A woman who's built her own life, stands on her own feet, and doesn't need someone to complete her? That's the ideal, right? But here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Real independence doesn't announce itself. It's quiet, it's natural, it just is. A woman who's genuinely whole on her own doesn't need to say it with edge, with attitude, or like it's a disclaimer. She simply lives it through her actions, her mindset, and the way she treats others. But when that phrase comes with a sharp tone, when it's laced with that subtle warning of, don't get comfortable, you're here because I allow it, what she's really doing is setting a power dynamic, not a foundation for partnership. And it might not hit you at first. You might even admire it in the beginning, but give it time and you'll start to feel it. That pressure to prove yourself, to constantly earn your place in her life, like you're applying for a role that can be revoked at any moment. And suddenly, it's not love anymore, it's performance. You're walking on a line where you're afraid to slip because you're not just in a relationship, you're trying to meet a quota of worthiness that was never yours to meet in the first place. Here's the truth most men overlook. Love rooted in mutual respect doesn't feel like a game of leverage. It doesn't require you to diminish your value so she can feel strong. You are not a subordinate in someone else's story. You're a partner, or you're nothing at all. A woman who is truly secure in herself won't weaponize her independence or dangle it over your head like she's doing you a favor by letting you in. Real love doesn't remind you that you're lucky to be chosen. It shows up with gratitude that you both found each other, because at the end of the day, strength isn't loud. It doesn't belittle, it doesn't power play. And connection, true connection, it grows from balance, not hierarchy. So don't fall for the packaging. Don't mistake dominance for confidence. A woman who knows her worth won't have to prove it by downplaying yours. Point 5. I don't like labels. Let's talk about one of the most deceptively casual phrases in the dating world. I don't like labels. At first it sounds easygoing, even refreshing, like she's just taking her time, not rushing things, letting it all unfold naturally. And you might think, that's cool, no pressure, no expectations. But let me hit you with some truth. If you're not careful, you'll blink and realize you've been in a fake relationship for 6 months. You'll find yourself acting like her man, giving her your time, your loyalty, your energy, all while living in emotional limbo because she refuses to define what this even is. See, when someone says they don't like labels, what they often mean is, I want the perks of a relationship without the responsibility that comes with it. They want consistency without commitment, intimacy without accountability. They want your presence, but not your position. And that imbalance is where so many good men get trapped. You start thinking, if I just keep showing up, if I prove I'm patient, if I love her hard enough, she'll come around. But bro, that's not how it works. A woman who genuinely wants something real doesn't hide behind vagueness. She's clear, she's intentional, she knows that love doesn't grow in the shadows. It needs definition, direction, and mutual understanding. So if she keeps dodging the question of what are we, that is the answer. And here's the truth, you are not an option, you are not a placeholder. You're a man with value, with vision, and you deserve someone who meets you with the same level of certainty you're bringing to the table, because commitment isn't just a word, it's a choice. And if she's not willing to make that choice, then you have to make one for yourself. Either keep floating in her gray area or step into something with clarity and purpose. You don't need to chase someone who's still deciding if you're worth claiming. You deserve to be with someone who already knows. Point 6. You're so lucky to be with me. Listen carefully, bro. If she ever says, "You're so lucky to be with me," pay attention. Don't just listen to the words, but to the tone behind them. Sure, it might come out as playful flirting in a light-hearted moment, and you might think it's all in good fun. But when it's said with attitude, when it starts to show up repeatedly, that's not confidence, that's entitlement. What she's really telling you is, "I'm the prize here, and you better keep proving you're worthy of me." And trust me, that dynamic starts to rot the relationship from the inside. It gets toxic, fast. You'll find yourself walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid mistakes, worried about staying on her good side. Over time, you stop being the man you were meant to be, and you start showing up as an employee, always striving to avoid getting fired. This isn't love, this is a power play. In a real, healthy connection, there's mutual respect. Both people bring something of value to the table. Real love says, "We're lucky to have each other," not "you're lucky to have me." So when a woman constantly positions herself as the prize and makes you feel like she's doing you a favor by staying, walk away. Because the moment you start trying to earn your worth in someone else's eyes, you've already forgotten your own. At the end of the day, it's not about catching every red flag or ticking off a list of toxic phrases. It's about trusting your gut when something feels off. A healthy relationship should never feel like a test, and the right woman won't confuse you, won't keep you second guessing. She won't put you through emotional gymnastics just to prove your worth. Instead, she'll speak with clarity, with honesty, and love will feel like peace, not a puzzle to solve. Remember, real love is grounded in balance, respect, and mutual understanding. When you're with the right person, you won't need to guess if it's real. It will just be. If you found this insight valuable, make sure to subscribe to The Girl's Mind for more wisdom on mastering your life and attraction. Until next time, stay strong, stay centered, and always remember, the key to attraction isn't in chasing, it's in being. But for those of you who are serious about stepping up and taking control, I've created a one-on-one chat with me. Choose your package and let's solve any problem you're facing, whether it's crushing your goals or handling that conversation with a girl.